I'm Dave with Found Checkpoint, and I'm here with Arne from The Last of Us, who's a community strategist. I did a couple of questions about the game. First of all, now the enemies in it, they're not quite zombies. They're sort of more kind of plant-based. Explain them a little bit.
Sure. In this world, it's 20 years later, what's happened is a fungal infection has taken over humanity and sort of created this worldwide epidemic. So that's what you're seeing is what happened was, and sort of where it came from, is our creative director and our game director, sort of Bruce Straley and Neil Druckmann, they were looking sort of for game ideas and sort of other things that they could create the narrative from. And they were watching this Planet Earth documentary. They saw where there's this fungus that happens in the rainforest, and it infects insects. What it does is it actually is able to control their body to move the insect into a position so it's better to reproduce and sort of continue the life cycle for the fungus. So they're like, well, what if this jumps to humans, and sort of what happens then, and what's the life cycle here? So basically that's what it is. There's a fungus that is infecting humans, and we've built out a whole life cycle for it. So in the demo that we were showing here, you're seeing two stages of it, sort of a really early stage where it's just starting to control the humans. The humans are still a little bit aware of the fact that they're being controlled. And then sort of the third stage, and those are the runners, the third stage, which are called the clickers, where the fungus has started to express itself and out of the body, and it's actually rendered them blind. So they have very sensitive hearing. They use a clicking noise, that's why they're called clickers, as a form of echolocation to be able to survey the surroundings, look at prey, or work out threats.
Now, as far as the kind of plant nature of them, now what is the best way to fight them, would you say?
Well, because they're different stages, they all have different ways that you can approach combat with them. And I think that's what we're really trying to do, is sort of really mix up the types of combat. Like runners, tend to be in packs. Clickers are very lethal. You can't fight them off with melee, but they tend to sort of be alone. And then there's different other types. So it's like, what happens if you mix a couple of them together? Like how do you pick a couple of runners off and make sure that you're not trying to take the clicker on a stand-up fight? So it's really about trying to make you as a player think, create different strategies and how to approach fighting more than one.
Now you also have, aside from the regular enemies, you also have other humans to deal with?
Yeah, thankfully there's human survivors in the game world that we've created, and they present a really interesting challenge because, a lot of people, the idea of the game is like, what happens when there isn't infrastructure, when resources are limited? What choices do people make? And some of them choose to be antagonistic. Sort of kill for whatever supplies they can get, whatever it is, to survive. So they present a really interesting combat challenge because they can be working in groups or they can be alone. We worked really hard to create this really interesting AI with combat with them, where they're aware of who has the upper hand based on the weapons that you have. So with the human survivors, especially even if they're in a pack, like if they realize that you have a gun and you have more firepower than they do, they only have melee weapons, they're going to be a little bit more stealthy. They're going to try to flank you. They're going to try to find a way to be a little bit more guerrilla to try to get the upper hand on you. But if they realize that you're out of bullets or you only have a melee weapon and they have a gun or a couple of guns, they're going to be a lot more aggressive. They're going to try to, if you're trying to sneak and hide from them and try to flank them, they're going to realize that they can be a lot more aggressive in trying to flush you out.
Now with both human and, clickers, since they are sort of more sound-based, there's got to be a sort of a heavy stealth element to it?
Well, I think the idea is, you can really approach things however you want. It's not so much that we're trying to create a stealth element, but really it's more a game of cat and mouse, right? Like making sure, because again, resources are limited, you don't have regenerating health, so it's really amping up the tension for you as a player, sort of getting like the sweaty controller because you're like barely trying to do it. So it's trying to create different scenarios for the different strategies for it. So, it depends on how you want to play. You can play a little bit more stand-up and be more aggressive, but you're going to realize that making that choice might make you run out of bullets quicker, or you might be wanting for more health, or you might have to think differently. So it's really trying to adapt towards how you want to play.
Well, certainly, it's one of the best-looking games that's coming out, in the next couple of years, and it's sort of a different game that changes up from something like Halo, where you feel really powerful. It's something that actually kind of makes you feel more human. So it's great to see a game like this. So it's been great talking to you, though. So thanks.